Today on the Travel Magazine, we'll visit the city of Puebla, Mexico. It's a city of exquisite churches, unique historical buildings, and Baroque architecture. Puebla is a city of artistry and skilled craftsmanship. It's home to the famous Talavera Pottery Studio.
500 years ago, Franciscan monks were in search of an area to settle their Mexican colony. Legend has it that angels appeared in their dream and told them to build it right here, calling it Puebla, City of Angels. Hello, I'm Sandra Neal. Welcome to this edition of the Travel Magazine and the reverent city of Puebla.
At 7,000 feet above sea level, Puebla is located 125 kilometers east of Mexico City. Founded in 1531, the city lies in a wide valley between two of the largest volcanoes in Mexico. With a population of over 3 million people, Puebla is the capital of the state of Puebla. The most striking feature of the city is its churches. There are so many that Puebla is known as the city of 99 churches. The largest is the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception. Construction began in 1575 and took 74 years to complete. The cathedral boasts the tallest towers of any Mexican church and is surrounded by more than 50 statues of angels. With its raised ceilings, the interior is the pinnacle of skilled craftsmanship. From the intricate carvings of the wooden altar, with its many statues and minute details, to the austere raised pulpit of solid wood, it's easy to see why it took 7 decades to complete this cathedral. When walking through the cathedral, you'll see beautiful ornamental artifacts found in every corner, like this gold sculpture of a flower pot, the symbol of the Immaculate Conception. Among the unique features of the cathedral is this centrally located 16th century Baroque organ. Decorating the base of the 88 pipes are wooden statues, some of which are playing instruments. Another unique feature of the cathedral is the Door of Pardon, which is only opened every 50 years. It's believed that when walking through it, all sins are forgiven. Standing on the city streets, you can see churches at every turn, like from here, in the oldest part of Puebla, called Old Town. It's here where the history of the city's first industry, tile making, can be traced.
Jose, Puebla is over 500 years old, and this is where it all began.
Yeah, you're right. You know, when the Franciscans arrived to Puebla, they were looking the best place where to build the city, you know? And they decided in this place. Why? Because there were a river, and they were looking the places where there was water to build the city. For example, in this place, see, they discovered those ovens where they used to cook the tile.
Commissioned by the founding Franciscan monks, the largest and oldest of the ovens is more than 500 years old, while others were made just over a century ago. And more were recently discovered and unearthed, prompting the area to be protected as an historical site. While in Puebla, you can spend hours just walking the streets, looking at the designs. Tiles decorate buildings all over the city. Seemingly millions of tiles of every size, shape, and color are arranged to create patterns and even pictures. While on your walking tour, stop by this beautiful tile fountain. Taking a closer look, you can see thousands of small tiles covering the statue of this young woman, making this one of Mexico's most famous fountains. Our next stop is one of the oldest houses in Puebla, the Sugar Cake House, named apparently by the locals who thought the detailed white trim looked like sugar. The Sugar Cake House is now the State Museum. Another beautiful building covered in tiles is just a short walk away next to the government palace. It's called the House of Dolls, so named because of all the white tiled pictures of people decorating its walls. The house was intended to be much taller, but the original owner wasn't permitted to build the house as planned. That's because it would have been taller than the government palace next door. So the owner compromised, keeping his house the same height as the palace.
Every Sunday in Pueblo, you will have a heyday shopping because there's an antique market with more than 200 stalls. They sell everything from furniture to books to jewelry and candies, and also one of the city's trademarks, Puebla ceramics.
The ceramics for sale are as unique as the local tiled buildings. The pieces vary in size, shape, color, and price. But remember, it's not just ceramics. Items for sale include woodwork, from furniture to crucifixes. There are paintings and a variety of knickknacks. The market's even a great place for music. Like all the great markets in Mexico, Puebla's offers a wide range of goods that will keep you wandering for hours, but won't leave you broke. Coming up on the Travel Magazine, we'll take an inside look at the famous pottery of Uriarte, Talavera. Visit the Artists Square, where the public is invited to watch artists at work. And also sample some authentic Puebla cuisine.
¿Cuánto cuesta this tequila glass? Oh, that's not too bad. We'll be back with more on Pueblo in the Travel Magazine right after this.
Welcome back to the Travel Magazine and Puebla, Mexico, a city famous for its many churches and all their different architectural styles. Not to mention the beautifully tiled buildings and cobblestone streets. The production of those famous tiles is Puebla's oldest and most distinguished tradition.
A few minutes from the marketplace is the oldest and most authentic tile factory in Puebla, Uriarte. Built in 1850, they still make ceramics here.
In the state of Puebla, only 4 regions are officially recognized as authentic producers of Talavera pottery. And Puebla's Uriarte workshop is the most respected, stemming from a long history of tradition.
Not only do you get a chance to see tiles being made in the Talavera style, the Uriarte family also houses its own museum on the 2nd floor.
The museum contains artifacts and photographs depicting the art of tile making from the Uriarte workshop. This is the founder, Dimas Uriarte. The history of the art in Mexico began with the early Mexicans, who had already developed their own style of pottery. With the arrival of the Spanish in the 16th century came their art of glazing fire-baked clay. The combination resulted in what is now called Talavera pottery. The style shows influences not only from Spain and Mexico, but Italy, Arabia, and China. Close by in the city's schoolyards, some of the next generation of Talavera artists can be found. One day, these boys and girls may carry on the 150-year-old art. The process begins here with the clay. 2 different types are first mixed, strained, and then left to dry. For the final step, the clay is kneaded so it can be modeled. The modeling process is done entirely by hand, and the region's best pottery artists can be found here in Uriarte's workshops. Once the piece has been modeled, it's left to dry on these wooden shelves for 8 to 12 weeks. Here we see the stenciling process, but before that takes place, there are a few steps that need to be done. Like the first firing of the clay, this turns the piece into that distinct reddish-brown color. The ovens bake at over 850 degrees Celsius. And then there's the glazing. The pieces are all hand-dipped in earthenware glaze that will give the pottery the color and shine that emerges after the second firing. And once these steps are completed, the pieces are ready to be stenciled. Numerous designs and patterns adorn the Uriarte pottery. Once the designs are in place, they have to be outlined in black paint. With this completed, the patterns are ready to be painted. Concentration is key so that mistakes won't render all the previous work in vain. While drying or in storage, the pottery is meticulously inspected at every stage. With Uriarte's reputation, they have to make sure every piece lives up to the public's expectations. The painting of the pottery is a painstaking process that requires the artist to stay within the lines. All paints come from natural mineral bases, creating Talavera's distinct colors. The brushes used today are made of mule hair, just like when the factory was first opened. The final stage is the second firing. The pottery is glazed fired to ensure the durability of the colors and shine. The oven used reaches a temperature of 1050 degrees Celsius. This is one of the very few industries in the world that hasn't been affected by time or technology. The techniques still employed at Uriarte are the ones first implemented by its founder.
This is the final product, but whether it's a 6-foot pot or a tiny tequila glass, 3 days of handiwork have gone into every piece of ceramic.
Every minute of the long process is reflected in the tiles and pottery displayed in the showroom. Some of the items displayed are for sale, while others can be ordered and made in the factory. When you buy a piece from Uriarte, you can be sure it's a unique piece of artistry made in the historic tradition.
Wherever you go in Puebla, you'll find architecture and art. Temptations for me everywhere. I'm crazy about still life canvases. We're in the artist's neighborhood, where since 1941, painters and sculptors have been setting up shop. And if I stay here long enough, I could even take a lesson.
In the heart of the artist's neighborhood is this square, modeled in the colonial style and last refurbished in 1941. This serene location contains an assortment of studios and galleries featuring the works of local artists. Here you can wander about from studio to studio, watching the artists and sculptors as they work. Here locals and tourists come to relax and enjoy the surroundings. For many, the diligent artists working in this tranquil square makes this the best spot in town. There are also some small shops where some of the artist's works are for sale. Another focal point of the artist's neighborhood is this decorative fountain. The sound of the flowing water manages to drown the commotion coming from right across the street at the perpetually busy marketplace. Here you can find all of Puebla's different artworks for sale. Lots and lots of decorative plates. And of course, more colorful pottery. While walking the market, you'll find different kinds of handicrafts, and any of them would make a good souvenir of Puebla. Some of the stalls carry the sound of wind chimes, while others sell vibrantly colored handmade clothes. It seems Puebla always puts an abundant amount of work and art into everything they produce. And you can take it all back to your hotel in one of Mexico's original Volkswagen taxis.
Oh, gracias, señorita.
Thank you.
This is Mexico's national dish. It's called mole poblano. We'll be back with more of the Travel Magazine right after this.
Welcome back to the Travel Magazine. As we've seen, Puebla is a city of numerous churches, but one of the most notable and interesting is not located within the city, but 12 kilometers away in the small town of Cholula. The yellow church built by the Spaniards during the conquest sits atop the Great Pyramid, which wasn't discovered until the 20th century. Before it was unearthed, Mexicans thought the Spaniards had simply built their cathedral on top of a hill. The pyramid was built over a period of 6 centuries and is comprised of 7 superimposed pyramids. Inside are 8 kilometers of tunnels, though not all of them are accessible. Near the pyramid is the museum of the site. Admission is free, and it's well worth the short trip out of town. Puebla is not just a city of many churches, it's also a city of fountains. To the Mexican people, fountains are used for more than just decoration. It's where people come to converge and socialize, a place to meet friends, though some come just to relax and wind down at the end of the day. Here, a busy life can seem to move just a little bit slower.
Hola, bienvenidos a Puebla.
Bienvenidos a Puebla.
Bienvenidos a Puebla.
The streets of Puebla are filled with Volkswagen Beetles. That's because the city's largest employer is the Volkswagen plant, located in the outskirts of the city. 1,000 Beetles are built here a day. In fact, most found in the United States come from Puebla. Across from the Uriarte factory is the town's massive food market. Here you'll find all the ingredients that go into making the city's famous dishes. All kinds of culinary curiosities can be found here. At the entrance you can buy local dishes, while inside you'll find plenty of freshly baked breads and all kinds of fruit and vegetables. There are also butchers with a variety of different meats each day, always trimmed and cut by hand. Most of the families of Puebla come to the market every day, looking for the freshest ingredients and a chance to barter for the best prices in town. Meatballs are cooked in the traditional style, to be taken home or eaten on the spot. This shop makes a popular sandwich made of fried chicken and one of my favorites, avocado, served on a fresh bun. The world-famous cuisine of Puebla alone is worth making the trip.
George, I understand that Fonte de Santa Clara has the best food in Puebla.
Oh, sure. And before we talk about this delicious plates, let me give you some of this typical drink from Mexico, called pulque.
Thank you. Is there alcohol?
Yes, and it comes, just a few alcohol, and it comes from the cactus.
Okay.
How do you like
Delicious.
it?
Very light. Very light.
Sandra, this is the typical dish in Puebla. Call it mole poblano. It was made by a nun in the 17th century. Her name was Sor Andrea de la Asunción. And this dish has 17 kind of different chiles, biscuits, chocolate, and now it is the most popular typical food in Puebla.
Very unusual. Now, I love chicken, so I want to know, what is this sauce made out of?
This is a pipián. We have two kind of pipiáns in Puebla. One is red and the other one is green. And it has tomato, it has peanuts, and of course it has chicken.
I recognize guacamole. I love it. But what else is in this dish?
Well, this is escamole. This is a little animals that they are underground.
Animals?
Animals, little animals like ants that they take underground. Usually you eat this with a tortilla, a little guacamole, avocado, mole, and then the rest.
Is it okay if I pass on this dish and try another?
Oh, sure, you can taste another one.
Okay. I recognize the avocado and the cheese, but what's underneath?
This dish is called tinga, and it has pork, and then it has tomato and avocado and cheese on it. It's very, very nice.
It looks delicious.
Yeah, it is. This is another typical dish from Puebla, called three moles.
Well, I recognize the mole sauce in the middle.
Oh, sure, this is mole poblano in the middle. Then we have pipián on the left side. It is called green pipián. Then on the other side, we have red pipián. It has chicken inside and then covered with tortillas. And then with cheese in the top.
So all of these have chicken inside.
Oh, sure. Oh,
Wow.
sure.
I thought I was going to lose weight in Mexico, but I think I'm going to gain weight.
No way. Now here we have another dish called huitlacoche.
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 And what is that?
It is made out of the corn, pieces of the corn, and then covered with cheese.
And what makes it black?
Well, because it has some seeds of the maguey. So it's really nice to eat this dish.
George, with all these wonderful dishes, it's tough to leave room for dessert, but Puebla is known for its sweets.
Oh yes, the nuns start making this kind of wonderful candies since the 17th century.
They were really busy nuns.
Oh sure, of course. One of the candies that you must try is this one, Tortita de Santa Clara. It's wonderful.
What is in that?
Well, it has egg, biscuit, but it has a wonderful taste.
I'll tell you what, can I take all of these to go?
Oh sure, of course.
Thank you.
Fonda de Santa Clara is one of many restaurants in the city where you can get a taste of delicious, authentic Mexican dishes, many of which originated in Puebla, and would be sure to satisfy even Mexico's toughest hombre.
I hope you've enjoyed discovering the fascinating city of Puebla with me. For the Travel Magazine, I'm Sandra Neal. Join us again as we travel the world.